What's up, everybody? It's a new day. I had to take a day off. My back was hurting. And one thing I did do off camera is I cleaned the snow filter. Now, I went back out to my V8 Phaeton at my sister's house to try to get the snow filter out of the driver's side, because this one, it appears that the dealer took that out, because this car was always serviced at the dealership. So the dealer removed it and never put it back in. But it's still on the passenger side, and honestly, it looked like it looked like it had never been cleaned before. It just looked one solid color black, but part of it is the screen is supposed to be see-through. So I cleaned that. I wish I got a image of how dirty it was, but anyway, again, back over here to the driver's side, it was missing. Drove all the way to my sister's house, and guess what? That one was missing too, and that also was always serviced at the dealer. So the dealer will really mess you up, man. So for now, I'm gonna just rock this with no snow cover. The driver's side is easier to get to than the passenger side. There's a lot of stuff in the way. So what we're gonna do today is go ahead and put coolant in it to make sure that it doesn't leak. And yeah, so I have the batteries charged up, but I know I need a new secondary battery. I did pull the secondary battery out of my other one, and thankfully I had it unplugged, so it should have some kind of charge. But first, we're going to go ahead and fill this thing up with some coolant. Oops, one down. All right, so first thing you want to do when you're filling up a radiator, you want to keep in mind, first of all, you want to figure out what type of coolant it takes. Me, I just got the coolant from Volkswagen, so I know it's the right stuff. But you know, for basic cars, you don't need the specialty stuff. You can kind of get almost anything. Just make sure it is the right kind, or it's what was already in there, preferably. That's what you want to do. If you're going with something else, you want to flush it out really good. You don't want to mix coolants unless they're compatible, and usually if it's compatible, it's just going to be you putting in the same stuff that was in there. So that's what I'm doing. I'm putting the same stuff that was in there. And you want to also know what the capacity is. You need to know how much coolant to buy. This takes 4.5 gallons, and so I got 3, well actually 2.5. One was left over from me having to put coolant in Baby Faye, my V8, and the other 2 are new. And I also got 3 gallons of distilled water. Distilled water is cheap, it's less than $1 a gallon, so you want to make sure you get distilled water. Do not fill it up from a hose or whatever, trying to be cheap. The reason you want distilled is because it has no minerals or anything in it. It's just regular water. It's just straight H2O without anything extra. If you get water that has minerals in it from like the tap, it will corrode the inside of the engine and definitely the radiator. So you don't want to have a premature failure from using the wrong water. So just spend a little $2.70 and get some, you know, gallons of distilled water. And it might not be $2.70. I needed 3. Also, when it comes to coolants, they have 50-50 mixes. Never get that. That's a waste of money. Just get the concentrate and get you a gallon of distilled water. They try to sell you on the 50-50 because it's easier. This is very easy. I'm going to show you how to do it now. Most systems want you to do a 50-50 mixture. What we're going to do here is try to get as close to 50-50 as possible. It's okay to have up to 60% coolant, 40% water. Alright, now when it comes to filling up your car with coolant, what you want to do is first look at your bottles. They usually come in gallons, so this is 1 gallon. If you look on the side, if you can see it, let me try to brighten this up. It's not really working there. If you can see it, it has 1 quart, 2 quart, 3 quart, and at the top that's 4. There are 4 quarts in a gallon. So what we're going to do is keep note of where the 2 quart mark is. That's our halfway point. And what we're going to do first is pour water in. Okay. The reason why we need to know where the halfway mark is because this thing takes 4.5 gallons. So what we want to do is first pour water into the system first, because if there's a leak, we can easily buy more distilled water. We can't buy more coolant. Well, we can, but not as easily. This is $30 a gallon. That's only 80 cents. Since I've been filling this stuff back up with coolant. Problem is the lines are like reinforced. Usually you could just squeeze the hoses and they burp, but this one doesn't really do that. I've just been having to wait it out and let it sink down, and it's gone down quite a bit, but not enough to really fill it up with any coolant. So what I'm going to do, let's see where it is now. Yeah, I mean, it's below the min, but you know, not enough to really start pouring some other stuff. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and charge up the other battery. Just check my battery and make sure it has a decent charge, or to make sure it's at least holding the charge. Just the problem with the one that's in here now, it's not really holding a charge. And if you guys know anything about Bentleys and other exotic cars, they have two batteries. That's the starter battery, so that battery there starts the car up, and this one goes to all of the convenience features, the air shocks, the seats, the lights, the alarm, everything comes from that bad boy. So that one's always running. And the way the alternator works on this car is it always charges this one first, because you know it's important to get the car started, not to just have, you know, seats and climate control. So this starts the car, and the alternator charges that first. Once that gets to 100%, then it begins to charge this secondary battery. The problem with that is most people don't drive enough to get to that point. So people with cars like this usually need a tender, which we'll get to here. So this is one of the better ones on the market. I bought this back in January, and I've been using it for actually this battery. I took it to, you know, AutoZone and stuff. They said that it would need to be replaced. It doesn't hold the charge, but that's because you can't trust their equipment. Their equipment doesn't test AGM batteries, even though they'll tell you it does. And of course, they want you to just buy a new battery. So I bought this bad boy, and sure enough, it brought it back to life. It was deeply discharged, but it brought it back to life. So we're going to go ahead and check it now. And the way you use it, they have an option for a normal battery, that's like the starter battery, and this with the snowflake, that's the AGM battery. They have supply and recondition. Recondition, I don't know really what supply is, but recondition, that is to recondition a deeply discharged battery. And what we're going to do first is connect the terminal. So we're going to first connect the positive, even though this is not plugged into the wall yet. You do that last. You still want to always do red first, black second. And we're going to go ahead and plug it up. And it's already set to AGM. Now you don't want to really do this while it's in the car. Okay, it already has some kind of charge. If it was deeply discharged, the low wouldn't have lit up. But it looks like it might just be low. But you don't want to do this in the car. If you do, I mean you can, but you want to make sure you disconnect the negative terminal. If you read the instructions, to tell you not to connect it to a battery that's connected to a ground. And at first I was trying to do this on the battery that was in there, and it was connected, and it would not give it a charge at all. Once I disconnected it, it lit right up. But it does appear that this battery is low, and AGM batteries take a long time to charge. So we're going to go ahead and just let this sit here probably overnight, and tomorrow I'll get back to it. Maybe. I got a lot to do this week, so I might not be able to get back to the car till this weekend. So if it is this weekend, well, I'll just see you guys then.